Dearest, beloved, divine friends, family, brothers and sisters, welcome to another of In the Raw, brought to you with the compliments of RK's Guyana Free Media. In the Raw, RK's Guyana Free Media, and I'm a host, and your brother Haji Dr. Roshan Khan. Today is still debates in Parliament, from a mighty and a powerful government and ministers, presenters, and a weak and a Lilliputian on a lost, corrupted, deceitful, dishonest opposition. Paying so much for an opposition, getting a zilch or zero out of it. Today on the first, I'm making a recording, and several, so to say, to be edited and to put in place. But the one by Honourable Minister Joseph Hamilton. Opposition is in no position to lecture the government on how to govern. And I want to do that one first for today and to get us out to you at the earliest opportunity. Here's my friend, my brother of respect, Honourable Minister Joseph Hamilton, and my operator will show a few photographs of him. And also Ashley Singh, our Honourable Minister, our President, our Vice President, our Brigadier Prime Minister, and so on and so on. We are very blessed in Guyana, I would say, to have a government of this caliber finally after 5 years of being lost in the wilderness, in which they believed that that government at that time, that they owned the assets and it was their personal toy to deal with. And imagine if they were in power with all this oil and gas wealth that's coming about, what would have been the reality? Now, let's go. Opposition is in no position to lecture government on how to govern. Minister Hamilton. Minister of Labour, Joseph Hamilton, has said that the APNO and AFC opposition is in no position to tell the PPPC administration how to lead Guyana, when it is unable to even decide on an opposition leader. So weak they are. So self-centered those people are, ladies and gentlemen, that they can't even have an opposition leader because they all want to sit down and enjoy the fat of Parliament. They want to create and eat a fat. We even have a minister who specializes in composting, a member of Parliament who is specializing in composting chicken waste and chicken fat. So this is the kind of people we are dealing with in the raw. They can't even have an opposition leader. They just want seat. Look at my Paul, completely useless in Parliament. He should have volunteered his seat for the leader of the People's National Congress. He should have been one of them. Natasha Singh Lewis, who has been a great disappointment to me and to the country personally, and maybe to her God, but I don't know, I can't speak to the Creator, that she even should have given up her seat. All she cares about, along with the others, and Mr. Harman and others, is about themselves. Yes, Minister Hamilton. Minister Hamilton was the first government member to defend the 552.9 billion budget, the largest financial plan so far in the history of Guyana, when the National Assembly met Monday for the debate. And what articulation, what skills, you know. And he was the first. The first catches the train, the first catches the bus. The bus. When you, the opposition, came to this National Assembly and you want to criticize, I beg your pardon, when you come to this National Assembly and you want to criticize government's policy, you must be seen in the eyes of the public, being able to present yourself as a government in waiting. You are incapable of doing that, he told the House. And when they were in Parliament, as leader, they failed because they believed the assets, the $18 million sign-in bonus, was a gift to the finance minister. And his president came out to say he knew about it to give a little bit of credibility to the obvious thievery for which he's facing court. This is what we had from 2020 to 2015, ladies and gentlemen. Mass thievery of the assets of this country and giving it away to big K. All the contracts and possibilities so that they could get their pucks back. Back, my friends and family, to Hamilton, Honourable Minister. Opposition Member of Parliament, MP Amanza, Walton, Desir, accused the government of not fulfilling its promise of providing free university education and questioned the administration's ability to execute massive infrastructural works over the next 11 months. Minister Hamilton reminded the MP that the APNU and AFC imposed grave hardship on citizens, including raising the University of Guyana's tuition fees by some 35% in 3 years. And this continued the Because We Care cash grant. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is in the raw. So what I have to do at times, because WhatsApp sometimes don't take more than 2 to 3 minutes. I have to stop and go. Sometimes they take it. I have to send it to all these recordings to my team in Guyana. Some of you know that I am in hospital. I was just in hospital, major operation in my shoulder replacement, major problem, major pain, but still doing my work, still serving my country. And so they will tend to it, and I'm hoping to get Mr. Hamilton's presentation before the day is out into the newspapers, into the media, into the RK's Guyana free media. Let us build Guyana. Let us work with our government. And even if you who might hate the government, for some reason, politically, you must stand for what is right. And you must accept that the PNCR, the APNU, failed Guyana. I was a member, I was a friend for many decades of the PNCR until Mr. Harman destroyed that friendship and tried to destroy my life and the life of my family, friends, family, divine brothers and sisters. That is why all of this today. Yeah, so he reminded her that it was the PNC who raised tuition by 35% in 3 years. And this continued the Because We Care cash grant. So who the hell is Amanda Walton Desir? Hopping and jumping, full of hot air, without any sensibility of wisdom and intellect to create some attention, to make all these ludicrous comments in Parliament. Instead, to my opinion, her presentation and the presentation on behalf of their leaderless party as opposition leader, or as bereft with an opposition leader, who on earth is she to make such ludicrous statements that we should give free university? Now, it's easy to talk when you're in opposition. It is easy to talk when you can't do anything tangible. Have you ever seen the PPPC make ludicrous claims and statements while they were in opposition? Oh no. But you're talking nonsensicality and trying to bring emotionality mixed with grand and gross stupidity, Miss Amanza Walton Desir, politically at least I'm saying. This has nothing to do personal. I'm talking about politics here now. And people like you, because of the heart and the mind I have for my country, you are pushing me more and more into politics. I guess some of you would like to see me in a political platform, in campaign, with some political entity into the near future. Back to Mr. Hamilton's amazing presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know I grew up Triumph Village in the countryside. And I remember my grandmother used to rear a lot of what we call Creole fowl. I think the Jamaicans, they call it yard fowl. What we had the last 35 minutes is fluttering and flattering of a headless Creole fowl. And so,
Honorable Minister, You're imputing something against the honorable member? Headless Creole fowl? Please, let us keep it honorable.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I am saying, Mr. Speaker, that the opposition represented in this National Assembly, as they will prove to the people of this country the next 5 years, is a barnyard of headless Creole fowls. Headless yard fowls. Mr. Speaker, what we will have the next 5 days is not people addressing this budget. You will have the immoral speak to us about morality. The corrupt speak to us about corruption. Those who are incapable speak about their capacity. That is what we will have, Mr. Speaker, over the next 5 years. Not the budget presented. Every measure they condemn. They are intellectually incapable of putting a measure alongside it before the guy needs speak.
And then he's reminding them, soon as they took power, ladies and gentlemen, what's the first thing the APNU did? What is the first thing the PNCRM, ashamed to say, did as former friends of theirs? They took away the $10,000 because we care cash grant, because it was from that government. But they did not give anything to the children or to the family. They took it to fatten themselves. And that is the truth, Miss Amanda Walton Desir. Under your tenure, Mr. Hamilton, Minister Hamilton says we were an oil-producing country and you did not train a single person in oil and gas. And now you want to tell us who to train? The minister contented. You're putting you in your place, Amanza, and your leaderless opposition party. And I'm ashamed, even the People's National Congress. Because look at you all. You trained not even a single person for anything. You were confused, mostly caught in embellishing selves, gifts, gold, fancy beds, and all kinds of things, some of which people will end up in jail sooner or later. And what? They're trying to tell the government what to do and how to do. Minister Hamilton said in just 1 year, the Board of Industrial Training has increased training from a mere 1,300 to 3,086 persons in over 100 technical and vocational areas. So, if you have any gray matter there, Mr. Harmon, who lost the seat as leader of the opposition, who's lost, Harmon, a seat as the executive committee of the People's National Congress, and who is set to be bolted out from the seat of Parliament. Could you not have briefed Amanza instead of embarrassing your party and you as a kind of a lukewarm opposition leader, not to embarrass you all? Because look at this. The amount of training the Board of Industrial Training provided to citizens of this country, including with equipment. The training programs were taken to many hinterland and Amerindian communities for the first time. I like to use the word indigenous. This year, the sum of $448.5 million was allocated to BIT to train another 4,000 Guyanese. In addition, technical officers were placed in all of the 10 administrative regions to spearhead the technical and vocational education and training TVET, Mr. Harmon. Miss Amanza Walton Desir, words of the mighty Honourable Minister of Labour, Joseph Hamilton. To prepare programs in preparation for unknown emergent industries, all because of oil and gas, and new businesses will be investing in Guyana. For the first time, every region, with the exception of Region 8, is equipped with a Labour department in an effort to safeguard workers' rights by ensuring local and international businesses are in compliance with labour laws and regulations. And I completely concur with that. We need employers to work according to the rules, laws, and the circumstances of the vagaries of legalities for Guyanese workers and development of this country. Minister Hamilton said it is under the PPPC administration that an OSH officer was able to visit the FPSO offshore for the first time to conduct inspections and ensure worker safety. In 5 years, the APNU or the PNC couldn't even put one person on an FPSO, a safety officer, so to say, on the FPSO to ensure that workers' rights and protections are safeguarded. Since then, 14 technical officers of the OSH department were trained and certified to conduct inspections in the oil and gas sector.
Every measure, not airbrains, wild things, things that can be measured. Mr. Speaker, the honourable member just spoke about what we could do. The fact is, 18 months ago, they were in government. For 5 years. The honourable member spoke about free tuition at the University of Guyana. I dare remind you, honourable member, that your political entity over the period raised the University of Guyana tuition fees by 35% over a period of 3 years. So you come to this house and you pontificate about what should be done. You had your opportunity to do that. You squandered it, and that is the reason why you will grow old over there in the seats of the opposition. Mr. Speaker, again, the honourable member spoke about moving the city. 5 years, the major project of this set of people, honourable people over there, was a corrupt, transacted project named the Durban Park, where vagrants reside as I speak to you, Mr. Speaker. All the things that could be done. Mr. Speaker, again, the honourable member addressing foreign relations spoke to the issue of, let me repeat how Guyana was above their weight in the foreign service arena. I dare remind the honourable member, maybe she was not born at that time or young enough, or too young to understand, that during that period you talk about, Guyanese starved and could not get food to eat. Basic food items in this country. I am old enough to point that out. So, why do you talk about, Mr. Speaker, she said, the power of diplomacy of Guyana during those years of the so-called power of diplomacy, the citizens of this country could not get food to eat. Mr. Speaker, again, the honourable member spoke about the issue of vision. Oh my God. My God. Vision. Lightning should have struck her down when she used that word over there. The most visionless government we have ever had in the history of this country was 5 years ago. The honorable member spoke about care for the children. Her government took away $1.6 billion from children and utilized it to buy more food for people at the office of the president. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member, the nation must be reminded that this government took away a grant subsidy to elderly people, and she talked about the pension, where it should have gone. When they came into government, they took away the subsidy from the elderly people for water and light, and if that was not bad enough, they added 14% VAT on light bill and water bill. So the nation must be reminded that when you come to this National Assembly, you must be honest. Mr. Speaker, the wannabe opposition leader, Mr. Speaker, wannabe opposition leader, is trying to lecture us, this government, about how to govern, and yet they are a spectacle to the nation, incapable of even electing or selecting opposition leader. And you lecture people how to govern. You're incapable of deciding who will lead you. How will you govern a nation? So, Mr. Speaker, you don't know who is in or who is out. They themselves don't even know who is in and who is out. Mr. Speaker, I bring these things to the attention of the nation so that people can recognize when you come to this National Assembly and you seek to criticize government policy, you must be seen in the eyes of the public, being able to present yourself as a government in waiting. You are incapable of doing that. Unelectable. Mr. Speaker, so, as I said when I started, the thing about it, don't matter how. You know, Mr. Speaker, the experience was, when you cut off the head of the fowl, it's a lot of flattering and fluttering. But the fowl know that I will die very soon. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member spoke about the issue of training of our people for the new industries. Under this government, APNU AFC government, they reduced TVET training to a meager 1,300 people a year at the Board of Industrial Training. Meager, because when the PV was in government, it was in the thousands, and we have returned there again. So you come here and you talk about training. You had 5 years to train. Who did you train? Mr. Speaker, I was in Kokwani, where we had 100 and odd persons in Kokwani trained in TVET, and they testified that it was the first time a graduation ceremony ever happened in the town of Kokwani. Mr. Speaker, let them, again, 152 persons from Latam and different regions being trained in all different technical disciplines. Again, Mr. Speaker, they testified that it was the first time a graduation of this sort was happening in Region 9 in Lethem, thanks to the People's Progressive Party civic government.